Hello, everyone, and welcome to Asset Finance for Dentists. Today, I'm joined by Dan Fearin, one of our finance team. Hi, Dan. How you doing?
Hi, Chris. Very well. How you doing?
Yeah, not bad at all, thanks. And everyone back, despite popular demand, I'm Chris O'Shea. So let's get started. So, Dan, asset finance. What is asset finance? How does it differ from any other kind of finance?
Yeah, so asset finance is more shorter term, really, and mainly aimed at people purchasing sort of equipment. So if they're getting a dental chair or maybe a scanner or possibly even a car, normally they'll do that over asset finance because the life of that equipment is shorter. So normally sort of 5 years, really.
Hmm. Okay, so when we say assets, then I'm going to guess it's only ones that are going to be used for the business.
Yeah, it will be generally for the business that we use. But I say some people do finance a car through asset
Hmm.
finance or hire purchase, so you can look at them type of equipment. Normally, when you say assets, what companies will look at is the type of asset that sort of unfortunately sort of be taken away if needed, if there
Yeah.
was an issue with repayments. So nothing that's really sort of embedded. If you had some sort of aircon equipment that was embedded in the walls, that's quite hard to finance. But
Right.
a dental chair, if there was any other problem, unfortunately the company could take that away and sort of repay their debt.
Okay, so when you buy the asset, it kind of acts as its own guarantee, essentially.
Yeah, it's the security. So when you're buying it, the security
Mm.
for that piece of finance is that item, and until that equipment is fully paid off, then it's still sort of owned by the asset finance company until it's
Right.
fully repaid.
Okay. And would there be any scenario? Because I'm just thinking, I'm going to guess the loan would be the same as the value of the asset, but are there any scenarios in which someone might need an extra guarantee or security for an asset finance loan, or is it always going to be covered by
Sometimes.
the asset itself?
Yeah, so what they will normally look at, so yeah, so the asset will form part of the security for the equipment, and what they may also need sometimes, especially with a limited company, they may need like a personal guarantee to
Mhm.
sort of tie in the business because a limited company's got limited liability, so that the person who's actually purchasing it, so they're linked into the facility, they may need a personal guarantee.
Okay, so why would someone need asset finance? How does it kind of differ from just a normal business loan, or is it just the
Yeah, so
intent?
basically, yeah, so what asset finance is, like I said previously, it's short-term lending really, and what people tend to use it for. So if you want to improve and expand your business, and you need some equipment to do that, instead of using your cash that's in the business and maybe sort of impacting or having a you know lessening the amount of cash you've got available for your working capital, what you can do is sort of arrange the asset finance, which will allow you to purchase the equipment. And then what you can do is sort of have regular payments each month on the facility. So you can work that into your business, like business cash flow,
Yeah,
really. So it just helps sort of term it out over a period of time instead of, some pieces of equipment can be sort of 40,000-50,000 pounds. Instead of taking that out of the daily working capital, you spread that cost over sort of 3 to 5 years, really.
okay, fair enough. So what I know you mentioned a little bit already, but what kind of assets, things, whatever you want to call them, can you buy with asset finance? Or maybe more importantly, what kind of things can't you buy? What can't it be used for?
Yeah, so normally the things it can be used for, which is probably an easier question, is dental chairs,
Hmm.
X-ray machines, autoclaves, you know, um, disinfectant washers, that type of thing can be used. I say the only thing that tends they won't let you do asset finance on is something really that's sort of embedded in the walls, or
Hmm.
so stuff like that really that they won't
Yeah,
tend to look at, because if there was ever an issue, it's hard for them to sort of take that asset back
yeah,
without, they don't want to start ripping into walls to get their equipment back really, if they
yeah.
needed to.
What about smaller ongoing items like consumables, PPE, that kind of thing? can you use asset finance for that, or is that something you should be using your cash flow for?
No, that type of thing will generally be your sort of working capital for smaller items like this. I say it will normally be sort of, you know, pieces of equipment that you can do. You know, they'll look at some computer equipment. If there was like a number of smaller items that there's looking at, they may be able to sort of lump them all together, because we do a lot of startups. And as part of that, you know, there may be some other items within that you can sort of lump together, and the asset finance company may be happy to sort of turn that over a slightly longer period of time.
Okay, fair enough. So repayment, what kind of terms do you expect with asset finance? Is it different to other loans, or is it kind of the same deal, just with a different security?
Yeah, so they are shorter in terms of the amount of time they'll do them over. Yeah, if you was doing a business loan, they may do those over 15, 20 years, you know, because you're dealing with larger amounts, so that would help sort of make it affordable. But for asset finance, normally the maximum term is 7 years, but they will normally, now most times people will look at over sort of 3 to 5 years, really. The minimum term that they can do is 12 months. But for ourselves, you know, if a client is interested in asset finance, we're more than happy to arrange a free call with them to sort of discuss their budgets, you know, what their plans are, and to sort of try and work the monthly repayments to something that suits their budget, really. So, you know, if 4 years works for them for the equipment and makes the repayments affordable, then that's fine for us to have that discussion with a client.
And what about rates? How do they differ from other loans?
Yeah, so in terms of rates, you know, again, what we do, we go out to the market, so we try and find a client, you know, competitive rates and competitive terms. Normally the rates are sort of coming in at maybe sort of 4 to 5%, but they do fluctuate in terms of base rate changes and stuff like that. So it does vary, but that's roughly what they'll be looking at.
Okay, are they the same? Is it the same lenders, or are there like specific asset finance companies, or is it just the usual lenders that we use for other?
Yeah, no. So there are companies out there that specialise in asset finance, and we work with those companies. We obviously work with the main lenders as well, but generally there are asset finance companies out there that, you know, that is their main goal of arranging asset finance for clients. They understand the sector, they understand what clients are looking to do, so they're a lot more comfortable in terms of doing it. Okay,
what out from my curiosity, what happens if there's an issue with the asset while you're repaying it? Because you mentioned that technically the asset finance company owns the asset until you paid it back. Are you still liable for any damages or repairs or maintenance?
Yeah, so you are. Yeah, so the finance company would expect you to maintain that piece of equipment throughout the lifetime of the facility, and I suppose also for the client as well. They're using that equipment on a daily basis, so obviously it works for them to do that as well. If there was any sort of issues with that sort of equipment, you know, they would normally have, you know, it repaired. Like the client is liable for those repairs. The asset finance company wouldn't really get involved in that.
Right. Okay. Fair enough. So even if it broke through no fault of your own, I don't know, some outside circumstance, you're just kind of up the proverbial creek.
I suppose on that one, depending on how long you've had it, you probably the actual equipment company who provided that may have some arrangements and stuff. We for ourselves, obviously, we probably wouldn't get involved in that side of things, but they will have some arrangements with that company. If I suppose if it broke the day after you got it, you're probably covered under some sort of guarantee. You would hope that would kick in if you're paying a lot of money for some equipment, that they would come and fix it for you, or, you know, replace that equipment.
Yeah, that's a good point. You would actually expect that, to be fair. So what about fees? How does asset finance cost any more than a normal loan?
So in terms of ourselves for fees, we don't charge a fee for arranging asset finance for a client. The fees that the client will normally have, they'll have their monthly repayment for the facility, obviously depending on how long it goes over. Some of the other sort of fees that they may have will be some sort of, you know, they have like they might have an arrangement fee with the asset finance company, but they're normally quite small, probably between 150, maybe £200. And then sometimes some of the asset finance companies have like a monthly, an annual renewal amount of, it's normally like sort of £50 or £60 they'll have. But apart from that, everything on the agreement will set out what they're expected to pay on a monthly basis to fully repay the loan, and then at the end of that facility, obviously that equipment will be owned by the client.
Right. Okay. And what kind of information and data and documents you're going to have to hand over during the application process? What kind of info are they going to want to see from you?
Yeah, it's not too excessive, really, the sort of info that they need to provide. What they would really need is the sort of breakdown of the equipment they're looking to buy. So that will normally be provided by the equipment company. We'll normally see like 1 year's accounts, either associate accounts or practice accounts, and then sort of 3 months bank statements, really. So once we've got all that, that's normally enough to be able to get an agreement from the asset finance companies. Depending on the amount, if it's a slightly larger amount, they may sort of request some additional information, but it's a case by case basis, really. But normally with that sort of equipment, with that sort of information, they will be able to arrange the finance for the equipment.
Okay. And how quick's the process? Is it a quick
Yeah,
one?
it can be fairly quick, really.
Okay.
Yeah. So to get the agreement in place, they normally take like a day or so, really, to get something in place for them in that agreement. Obviously, we'd need to send the paperwork to the client to get everything signed. The only thing that sometimes can take a while, if you're purchasing, say, like a dental chair, the finance company won't tend to sort of release the money until that equipment has been delivered. So you're sort of waiting on that final invoice from the equipment company to be sent through. So that's the bit that sort of takes a while. But I suppose the client has got the benefit of knowing that everything's in place, the agreement's there. They're just waiting for the delivery of the equipment to be undertaken so that the funds can be released by the asset finance company.
Okay, that's not bad. Right, so is there anything else you think people need to know about asset finance? Maybe something they haven't thought of, or some insider knowledge?
I think really asset finance is fairly straightforward.
Yeah.
That as long as they let us know what they're looking to buy, what sort of term they're looking to do that over, and I suppose if they give us an idea of what they're looking to pay, obviously we can sort of move around the repayment term to try and fit to what their budget is. But for ourselves, see, we're experienced team in terms of healthcare, so we're more than happy to sort of work with clients and have a free meeting with them to discuss their needs, what their budget is, and so what we can help clients who associates who just need some extra equipment if they've got a specialism that maybe needs some I can't say the word, a certain item to for the work they're doing. A startup practice, if they just need some extra equipment, or they've set up and they're looking to bring on board that second surgery for the practice, or an established practice where maybe they're looking to add some new services or maybe do a refurb at the practice. So we can help with a number of different scenarios for them.
Okay, so by the sounds of it, the long story short is, if you need to buy something big, use asset finance, book a call with us. We'll help you find the best deal at no charge to them.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, I know it sounds a little bit simple in terms of doing it, but
yeah,
it's just about helping the client really just find we're trying to find the most competitive deal out there in the market.
Yeah,
really. So if they get in contact with us, I'm sure you can sort of share my contact details on the links.
Absolutely.
And yeah, more than happy to have a chat there. Then if they have a chat with us, they're not obliged to go with us. We're not going to charge them from that initial consultation. We're just looking to find out what they need, and then we'll go out to the market and see how we can help them.
Brilliant. Oh, and so if anyone doesn't know, we have our dental buying group. So if we can, not only can we find you a really good deal at no charge to you, we can also find you deal on the price of the asset itself through our contacts in the Samara Alliance. So yeah, if you want to save money on your assets, we're perfectly placed to help you do that.
Yeah. So like you say, we can help in terms of sourcing the equipment for them, and obviously arranging the finances, trying to make it sort of a little bit of a one-stop shop for the client.
Yeah.
So, you know, it takes a lot of that hassle around and trying to sort of run around to different people. So yeah, just by joining the Samara buying group, obviously, you know, we can help them in not only asset finance, we can help them with CQC on the saving money on their consumables. I'm trying to think of other things like patient finance, utilities, which is a big one at the moment.
Yeah.
Where people, you know, unfortunately utility bills still keep going up, even though we're being told they should start coming down. But if they ever want to have a review of all the services that they have at the practice, by joining the buying group, we can certainly help them with that.
Brilliant, fantastic. Right, well, that's everything I wanted to ask you, Dan. So thank you very much. It's been very informative, and I hope everyone found it so as well. If you've got any more questions, reach out to Dan, reach out to me, reach out to Aaron, book a call, contact us in any way, and we'll get back to you and make sure that we help as much as we can.
Actually, Chris, there is just one more thing I was just thinking of. We've actually got a networking event, a healthcare networking event coming up on the 14th of September in London. It's a great way of connecting with people in the same industry and meeting other industry professionals. So I don't know if you can put in the link
absolutely.
when you send it out. We think it's a great thing to try and build that community in healthcare. So if you're interested in meeting other professionals in the same sector as you, I think it'd be a great thing to come along. I say it's on the 14th of September in London. It's in the evening, so it shouldn't clash with any of your sort of day-to-day work. So yeah, please come along and help support it.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to that. Yeah, and a portion of all the ticket sales go towards charity. Yeah, there's gonna be food, there'll be drinks, nibbles, chat. So yeah, come along. It's gonna be a really good night.
Yeah, should be good. Should be really good.
Yeah, brilliant. Right, well, thank you very much, Dan, and we'll be seeing you again soon, I'm very sure.
Yeah, thanks a lot, everyone. Take care. Goodbye.
Brilliant. Thank you, everyone. Bye.